Call to order for the Watertown City Council meeting for July 18th of 2022. Please rise while Stacy Hendricks, the Executive Director of Brothers and Sisters Behind Bars, leads us in prayer.
That are compassionate to continuing to move our community forward and do the things that are best for all of our Watertown residents. And God, we just ask for unity and strength in this room tonight. And Lord, that your work would continue to be done through the hands and the feet of all of our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay, Bueller. Here. Danforth. Here. Holeen.
Here.
Paulson. Here. Shuddy.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Billhauer.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. Chair will now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion made by Bueller, seconded by Paulson. Any conversation on that? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. 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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now is the time for public comments. If there is anyone here who would like to address the council on something that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your time to do so. All right, I will close the public comments. Open it up for an approval of tonight's agenda. So moved. Motion made by Tupper, seconded by Billhauer. Any conversation on that? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item A are the results presented for the first phase of strategic planning from the Social Services Advisory Council. So we are welcoming Sarah Faust, but please identify yourself even.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Sarah Faust. I'm the director with the Cottington County Welfare Office.
again, I want to thank you all for your support of this initiative. It's a very exciting thing. Just so that I stay on target or on track, I'm going to read it. That's not my normal presenting style, but I don't want to take too much of your time. So this process has been a really great testimonial for our community. From the start with the City, County, Prairie Lakes Healthcare System, and Watertown Community Foundation recognizing the need and financially supporting this effort, to all of the social service representatives who have come together to provide input and help put this plan together. This is a unique effort of collaboration in our state and region, and we should be very proud of this process. It's remarkable to see what can happen when we step out of our silos and work together to improve our community. So again, thank you for your support financially as well as just the support that you've provided. I did provide all of you the copy of the full strategic report. Towards the end of the strategic report, it has the logic models and this one-page overview. This is a nice overview that's towards the end of the report. I'm going to really high level what we've done so far and kind of the current process of where we're at with the strategic process plan. So the mission of the strategic plan is to build a system of care through collaboration across agencies, families, and individuals for the purpose to identify and improve social services that meet the needs of Cottington County residents. So what we've identified is that there's really 3 phases of this process. We're currently in phase 2. The report that you have in front of me is a result of phase 1 in that process. So in phase 1, it included several in-person and Zoom meetings, which were held with the steering committee. Those members are listed on the first couple pages of that report. And you can see it's a broad variety from government representatives to social service agencies and directors of agencies across the community with that. It was very exciting to see who all came to the table with that. In addition to the meetings that we had, there was also a survey sent out to social service representatives to help identify and narrow down what our priorities should be. We had a really great response from that. Around 100 represented our responses to that survey, which for our community our size is a great response for that survey. So through that process, 4 priorities were identified: housing, mental health, community transformation, and centralized services and community education. Each priority area has established a working group, and we've started prioritizing the work that each group will do. And so that's what I'm going to identify a little bit in that. So the goal with the housing priority area is to develop safe, affordable housing that meets the needs of community members, including emergency and transitional housing. Where this working group is currently focusing on is looking into options for emergency and transitional housing. We really want to focus on that at this point. Once we find some options for emergency and transitional housing, which our community doesn't have those resources at all. So once we establish some pieces of that and get some of that in place, we're going to move on to the next phase of that goal, which is to address safe and affordable housing needs for all community members. That'll be more of the regulatory pieces and things like that with that. Mental health, then, their goal is to create an environment that informs, encourages, and supports mental health wellness. This working group is coordinating with the SAFE Coalition, which is through the Human Service Agency leads the SAFE Coalition in their prevention programs. And they are working to initiate an awareness campaign regarding mental health in our community. And they're also looking to explore options to increase mental health services and capacity. Again, once we do some of that mental health education piece and get that marketing plan in place, we're going to look at how we can expand capacity. And that's both with physical providers, but also helping our community have a better capacity to handle mental health issues with individuals and not just relying on the Human Service Agency and mental health providers to address those needs. The third area then is community transformation. You'll notice in the report, this was actually called community resilience, but because we also have resilient communities and their work is similar but different, we changed the name of this group to community transformation to reduce some of that confusion in there. But so you'll notice in the report, it's referred to both. But the community transformation, their goal is to build a support network for all residents that builds life skills and relationships across the community. This is the only group that is starting from ground zero. This is an idea that came out of the strategic plan, something that we recognize our community needs, but we don't really have anything established in our community. We have some organizations that are doing really great pieces of this, but nothing in a cohesive manner. And so this group has their work set out for them, but I think it's one of the most exciting, because when we can look at how we can build skills and relationships in our community, I think that's something we all want and desire. We just don't know how to go about making that happen. And so that's what this group is really going to look at. And then also underneath that, and now that we're at this phase, I think it maybe should have been its own priority area, but we put it underneath the community transformation. Throughout the conversations, it was identified that childcare is an issue in our community and the childcare needs that our community has. And this is multi-level, both in the social, but also workforce development needs and economic needs in our community. And so we have established a working group that's going to help ensure that we have adequate and safe childcare in our community. And so that group will start meeting as well. Then the fourth area is centralized services and education. And their goal is to establish a centralized system of care that supports residents in need with services provided in a cohesive manner before, during, and after crisis. This group is also kind of working on a multi-level issues. One is that centralized services piece, and we're working with the Helpline Center out of Sioux Falls to have the electronical centralized services. Their network of care piece is going to help us get all connected so that we can make referrals electronically and stop having to send people from one agency to another and have this vicious cycle that they have. The other piece of that, the goal of this community, is to have centralized physical locations. And so things like our office has recently moved downtown next to Brothers and Sisters Behind Bars in an adjoined space, which is across the street from the Housing Authority and right down from Access Ministries, who we make referrals to frequently. So having that type of centralized location so people don't have to go all around the community. We already have the state services all in one location, so the goal is eventually to get other services all in one physical location. In addition to that, this group is looking at marketing. How do we let people know what's out there and what services that we have available? And so we're working with Jen Bender out of Odney Marketing to put together a marketing plan to raise awareness in our community. And so she should have a proposal to us this week about what they can do for that marketing plan with that. So those are the working groups, and that's kind of the current status of those. Again, it's super exciting. But now, like, what are the next steps? Where do we go from here? One of the things we've all identified is that we have a lot of great ideas. We have a lot of great people at the table. And this is kind of the make it or break it moment, because we can either move forward or we can say, like, yeah, great ideas. Now what do we do? It's overwhelming and we can't go any further. And we don't want that to happen. So what we're doing is each working group is establishing a regular meeting time so that we have this conversation continuing and things moving forward. The housing working group is meeting the third Monday of the month at 2 p.m. every month. So their next meeting will be in August. The mental health group is meeting tomorrow, and then we'll establish a regular meeting time at that meeting. The community transformation group is meeting July 27th, and they will also establish a regular meeting time at that meeting. The Centralized Services and Education group meets the second Tuesday of the month at 11 o'clock. They were the first group to do that, and they've had the most meetings, and you can see that with them already having the marketing plan pieces coming forward with that. The Child Care Working Group is meeting tomorrow as well, and then they'll also establish their plan to move forward. That's an exciting one because it's kind of got a different group of people than some of the other groups with economic development and business leaders, HR representatives, hopefully. I know, Reed, if it works into your schedule to have some city representatives and things like that, because it really is a different level of need in our community with that. And then overall, we have the Social Services Community Advisory Council, which is what started off at the steering committee. They're the overseers of the whole plan, and they'll meet quarterly, with the next meeting taking place in October for that. The other piece is that we want our community to be involved in this. This is not just our plan. We want our community members involved. So anybody that's interested in being part of any one of these working groups, we would ask that you contact our office, the County Welfare Office, at 882-6286. We can give you more information and we can get you connected with the right group. as we go, the goal is to have representatives from each group kind of take the lead, but we're not quite there yet. And so our office is continuing to lead that process with that. I mentioned we're working with the marketing company, and that's both on the individual goals for each of the working groups, but also to spread the word about the strategic plan. And so that's part of the proposal that they'll submit, is how we spread the word on this strategic plan that we have so far. And then we're going to be working on strategies for ongoing community inputs for, like, the goal is to have a community survey every 3 to 5 years where we reach out to community members and get really a pulse on what do people know about and what are our current needs, and updating that every 3 to 5 years with that survey type of thing. So in conclusion, leading this process has been a great experience, and it just proves what I already knew, that we live in a community that's committed to caring for everyone. I'm so grateful for the support of our community, especially the county commissioners who have supported me giving my time to this effort. However, none of this would have been possible if everyone had not agreed to sit together, put their egos aside, and work together for the good of our community. With the continued support and effort, we will see really great things happen in the coming years. And to be clear, this is not about any one person or agency, but about how really great things can happen when we work together. I want to thank you again for helping fund this initiative and helping make it happen, in your participation where you've participated. And I look forward to more participation as we go forward. Any questions or anything? It's a lot of information.
Chair will open it up for questions from the council. Guess there's none.
Okay.
You
great.
answered all of our questions.
Very good. Yeah.
Yes. Councilman Villauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Sarah, have other communities, Brookings, for example, Aberdeen, taken on anything like this at this point?
No. We are, this is a unique thing for Watertown.
Okay.
And which I think just is a credit to our community that we're kind of leading the way and putting something like this together.
Okay.
With that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilman Shetty.
And welcome to the neighborhood downtown.
Thank you. Are excited to be down there. It's a lot of,
It
a
is.
lot more
It
energy
is.
down there. That's good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck moving forward as well. Item B is an application for a special retail malt beverage license to Mackenzie Blaze, doing business as K&H Rodeo at Derby Downs on Friday, August 5th and Saturday, August 6th. For more information, we will go to our finance officer, Kristen Bobzine.
Thank you, Mayor. Before the council is a special retail malt beverage. Notice was given on this, and everything is in order for the event. So if there's any specific questions, I can try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair will open up a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this?
Mac Blaze with K&H Rodeo Company. Want to be able to provide the fans and spectators with the ability to have a adult beverage at the event. We've got I believe we're up to 12 bartenders staff so far. We'll start training out there next week with all of them. I will be completing TAM certification to help aid them a little bit in how we're going to operate out there. My wife and I both come food and bev service industry, so we've had quite a bit of experience with not just serving, but carting and IDing minors and things like that. So we believe we carry the experience we need and taking steps forward to provide what we need to keep everyone safe and sound out there. We will have a number of people checking IDs prior to them getting to the bars, which will take pressure off the bartenders themselves. We've got wristbands on order and things like that. So all they got to do is check the wristband and provide them with what they need and get them moving on.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Is there a motion to approve the application?
So moved.
Made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Danforth. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Councilman Villauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to make sure I understand. The resolution or the motion has a time of 5:30 on Friday to 11:30 on Saturday, August 6th. Then we go to the actual application. Written in under the application line is August 5th and 6th at 7 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Is it meant to be from 5:30? Okay, so So the motion that we have in our packet is, okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? I'm going to put you on the spot, Mac. Where can you buy tickets?
You would. Watertownrodeo.com. They're available. Tickets for child starting at, 5 and under are free. 6 to 13 are $10, and then 13 and older are $20, and there's still some VIP spots available as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Perfect.
Seeing no further comments or questions, the motion is to approve the application. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Perfect. Thanks,
See you out
guys.
there.
Appreciate it.
Item C is an application for a retail airport on-sale license to the city of Watertown. Business name, the Shamrocks and Edelweiss Corporation. We are going back to our finance officer, Kristen Bobzine, for more information.
Thank you, Mayor. Before the council is a new retail license for on sale at the Watertown Regional Airport. Notice was given on this as well, and everything's in order. We did have our attorney work on this one too because it's a little bit different. So if there's any questions, I can try to help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Attorney Roby, did you want to add anything?
I'll just stand by for questions if there are any.
Okay, thanks. Chair will open up a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this? I'll close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Is there a motion to approve the application? Made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Vilhauer. Any comments or questions, council? Councilman Tupper.
I do have a question for probably Matt. Why is this going under the city and not the proprietor?
So, the mayor,
Yes.
there's as you're all familiar with, we have a set number of on-sale licenses that the city is allowed to have under state law. There's a separate statute that allows municipally operated airports to issue a standalone airport on-sale license. Notwithstanding those population limits on normal on-sale licenses, and it can't be transferred, so it can only be operated at the airport. So that said, we'd be the third that I'm aware of, only the third city in the state to utilize this. I think Huron had for a while and no longer does. Sioux Falls and Rapid City both have utilized this statute to obtain an additional license, and I think the Department of Revenue has determined that that's the way they want to see these applications, because the statute doesn't specifically say that there's the third party is using the license. It just kind of says a license is available at a municipally operated airport. So the way these applications have been sent to the Department of Revenue is with the city as the applicant and the third party operator as the doing business as.
Any follow-up, Councilman?
Yeah. Where's the liability lie then? Does it lie with the city, or does it lie with the proprietor?
It would lie with the proprietor.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions, council? Councilman Beeler.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Roby, is there a financial obligation to Shamrocks and Edelweiss for this license?
No, there is not.
So it's free. Thank you.
Councilman Danforth.
Normally, when we have a license, it'll be pretty specific that it's malt beverage or something. Is this an all-inclusive license, so it's anything and everything will fit into that?
Yeah. Legislators are listening. Anyway, the license under statute that's a liquor license is just called an on-sale license. So this is a liquor license, which allows you to sell liquor, beer, wine, etc. Well, maybe not. Yeah.
But only on sale.
But only on sale. Excuse me. Yeah. So you can't sell a 6-pack to go under this license. So it's a retail on-sale license.
Any follow-up, Councilman?
Yeah.
Is there anyone who would like to ask a question before Councilman Beeler asks a second time? Councilman Beeler.
Thank you. Matt, what would the cost for a license like this be for anybody else if they were to buy this license in this form?
Well,
From
we
the city.
couldn't say for sure, but I guess two things. One, we have that restaurant on sale license that the council reduced recently to $100,000. And then the market would dictate the price of the other type of license, which is unrestricted. I think the last licenses were selling for around $150,000. So, you know, from the kind of the get-go with these folks operating at the airport, there's been, you know, starting back at the airport board, there was kind of this the inclination to do what we can to make sure it works essentially out there, make sure it works financially for them. And so, you know, as far as a cost, I don't think there's any reason why there couldn't be a cost. But I know that as far as rent goes and that sort of thing, that the inclination has been to try to reduce their costs as much as possible so the service can be there long term.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Schutte.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Roby. So a question on that point there. If a proprietor in town, a business, when they buy the license, they own the license, they can resell the license, correct? In this case, they wouldn't be able to resell this, so there isn't an advantage of owning. They're not really owning it, so it'd almost be like renting it, if you know what I mean. They don't, because they can't resell it and recoup their money like a normal license holder could.
Correct. It's not an asset like a normal license holder has an asset that, frankly, I think banks lend against. This is simply a license to sell alcohol at our airport, at the municipal airport.
Okay. All right.
It can't move. It can't be transferred.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but speaking of the other licenses that we reduced to 100,000, has there been any movement on those? Any inquiries even?
Early, I mean, I think right when the council did that, there was, of course, a lot of chatter about it. I spoke to a couple license holders who I think contemplated, you know, maybe selling their unrestricted license and doing the restaurant license and, you know, pocketing the difference. But so far, nobody's done that.
Follow up.
I guess this is to the council and staff. I don't know if we'd want to relook at that and possibly lower that to make it actually a feasible option for some people. Because if we lowered it to 100 and it's still 0 applicants, 0 chatter, maybe it's time to just look at it and open another option for these businesses.
City Attorney Roby.
Thank you. I had just one additional thought on the charging piece. One of the, as far as what we're going to be charging the tenant, the restaurant operator, this communities either charge a square foot lease rate or a percentage of revenue model. So a percentage of revenue is how we handle our dollar rent-a-car. And so, again, I think there was the discussion about that percentage of revenue. We don't know what that's going to look like with this new concept. Let's charge that base square footage to begin with. But going forward, if we decide if this is a long-term situation, which I think we all hope it is, and we switch to the percentage of revenue model, then we would get a percentage of the liquor, of everything, of the liquor sales, of food, wine, beverages, et cetera. So that would be a way to think of us recouping some of those payments that other operators would otherwise have.
Councilman Villauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt, I forget, I know we approved the lease. How long, what's the term? How long is that lease good for?
I knew I shouldn't have said anything. You were going to ask me that. I got to look it up. I want to say the initial term is 3 or 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
I'll double check that.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay.
Any further questions, council? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the application. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item D is an approval of Resolution 22-35, levying assessments on of the 3rd Avenue North sidewalk installed in conjunction with the 3rd Avenue North Mill and Overlay and Sidewalk Improvement Project number 1706-W. We'll go to our city engineer, Justin Peterson, for more information.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm trying to pull up the map here. Okay, can you see it? This is related to the 3rd Avenue project, which is west of the bridge between Highway 20 and Compasco Boulevard. As we do city projects, we not only look at the streets and roads, but we also look at the pedestrians, and where there's not ADA sidewalk, we try to install them as part of our projects. And to achieve this, we go through the resolution or assessment process. In March 2021, the council approved the resolution necessity, which is the first step. And then this is the last step, which is the resolution to place it on the assessment rules. After this is approved, then the landowners, adjacent landowners, can pay for the next 30 days, and then it goes to the county. We've done similar things with 10th Avenue, and then the other half of this project as well. So I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you very much. Marcy, did you want to? No? Okay. Chair will open up a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this item?
And I live at 811 3rd Avenue Northwest. Well, when I got this letter, I compared it with my neighbors. They were charged the same as I was, but I didn't get anything done to my driveway, and they did. So then when I talked to Marcy, then she got it lowered for me, so I wasn't charged. But then we have other people that nobody showed up tonight but me. There's pits and cracking of the sidewalk, and along the roadway, like the grass seed that they should have put in there is like all weeds, and like this far from the road to the inside of the whatever you want to call it, sidewalk is dead. There's just nothing there. We water, and nothing. So I don't know if there was seed put in there. If there wasn't, I don't know. But there's a lot of rocks, lots of rocks. So I don't think there was a lot of dirt put in there. I think there was more gravel put in there than dirt, black dirt.
Marcy Luno, City Engineer 1. So I do want to speak to Shirley's first comment was about her assessment. So I did miss, and I forgot because this has been a while ago, we did leave her driveway. It was ADA compliant for where the sidewalk was going to go. So her amount that she was on the assessment roll, I'm going to borrow that, Shirley, was for $1,031.25, and I would recommend that we change that to $804.38. Any questions on that first?
Any questions on that, Council? Actually, we need a motion before we start
Sorry.
having...
And then I'll address the pits. So we have not done our warranty inspection yet. I talked to Justin already, and we will plan to go out and do that before our warranty. We always go out with our projects within the first couple of months before the warranty expires and goes and look at everything. So we will look at the sidewalk, the curb and gutter that was put in, as well as the roadway and the seeding. I can say that they did put in black dirt, but as it rains or as you water, rocks come to the surface or the dirt settles. So, but we'll look at it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this item? I'll close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Made by Councilman Schutte, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Any questions or comments, Council?
Can we?
And then do we need a separate motion to change the assessment? Okay. Actually, Chair will ask Councilman Shetty and Tupper, can we just add the language to that, to the motion? So,
If I may, Mayor,
yes.
approve the assessment roll and with the change of record number 6895 to the $804.38.
And how many cents?
38.
Okay, so the motion will read approval of resolution 22-35 levying assessments of the 3rd Avenue North sidewalk installed in conjunction with the 3rd Avenue North Mill and Overlay and Sidewalk Improvement, project number 1706-W, and approve the revised record number 6895 to $804.38. That's the motion that the chair is now looking for. Is that okay, Councilman Shetty? Councilman Tupper? Okay, that is the motion. Open it up for council action or council discussion. Questions, council? Councilman Tupper.
I don't know if this is Justin or Marcy, but somebody in engineering. I will go along with what Mrs. Spar is saying, and I actually drove down 10th Avenue that we just did last year, and we're not doing residents much justice on the grass that was seeded in there because there's more weeds growing, and it looks terrible. We built a perfectly nice, beautiful road. Their lawns were nice before we tore them up. We kind of left them in bad shape afterwards. So that was something I was planning on bringing up earlier or before you brought it up. But it's not good, put it that way. So it actually looks pretty tacky.
Actually, Chair would also mention that I've been paying attention to the 10th Avenue North as well, talked with many residents, and it could have been left in better condition, and I think that there is more that could be done. So I'd hate to see the same thing happen at the 3rd Avenue Northwest. So any further comments or questions? Councilman Beeler.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for engineering. Justin Peterson. I think my question is this, I guess. Do we contract out the seeding and the grass portion of this? Who does that, I guess?
The landscaper is a sub to the general contractor. So, the city's contract is with the general contractor, and then they hire their seeder to seed the lawns.
Follow up, Councilman?
Thank you, Justin. Also, if that being said, who was that subcontractor?
Skyview.
Skyview?
Thank you, Mayor. Marcy.
Okay. And then who signs off on that when that work is done?
We inspect it and sign off on what's called a certificate of substantial completion, and then that's what starts the year warranty. And so they're still within the year warranty, and that's something we'll check on.
They'll be responsible for any changes that are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilman Tupper?
So just a quick question or clarification. So before we throw Skyview under the bus, they're probably not even aware of the issue yet if we haven't inspected it.
No, they are not. I have not been out there to do the warranty inspection. And actually, all communication for these projects goes through the general contractors. So that was Dunick, and we'll communicate through them. And I can tell you, it was all seeded. It was drill seeded because I inspected it afterwards.
Okay.
Councilman Paulson?
I'm just gonna, thank you, Mayor. I'm just gonna make a comment on the construction side, so we're not throwing contractors under the bus. Seeding is probably one of the hardest things, because you have to establish the seed and then you have to maintain it. And so, from a construction standpoint, it is one of the harder things to make look good. And what we're seeing is it's taken multiple years to get it to come in fully, and owners really need to take some responsibility of watering in dry times and stuff like that. Even we can only do so much as a contractor, so because we can't babysit grass seeds. So I just don't throw contractors on the bus. They're trying to, and I know Skyview, it tries real hard, and so do the other landscapers around town. So just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Councilman Vilhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a question for our finance officer. Kristen, these go on the, if they're not paid within, what, 30 days, they go on the tax rolls. You know, we never see the follow-up to that. Typically, do most people, most parties pay, or does it go on the tax rolls? Do you have any feel for that?
Can I? Thank you. Yeah, in terms of our current process, the way it actually works very well because it's actually part of their property taxes. So, and we're lucky to be a community that has most of our property taxes that are levied are paid. So once it goes through to the county, we see it. It does take time. It's 10 years. So some of these smaller ones, I would foresee us probably seeing paid in office. But on a lot of our bigger ones, we have seen it be paid off in that 10 years. So.
And the interest rate is 10%.
This is 10%.
That typically, just a comment, that typically seems to be kind of a high interest rate. I'm guessing we keep it higher with hope that it does get paid off sooner rather than later. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct. I think part of it for us was too, as we kind of are putting it on the tax rolls, we don't know what the current interest rate is with the bank. 10% has just always been our standard. In the time I've been here, only one other time has it been different than 10%.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the resolution and the assessment revision. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item E is an approval of change order number 1 for the Watertown Foundation Plaza project number 2030 with Great Construction for an increase of $19,970.79. For more information, we'll ask our city engineer, Justin Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. This change order is for the Watertown Foundation Plaza, sometimes called Downtown Plaza. It includes changes to the water service, the storm sewer, and then the stage foundation. And the stage had the largest increase. That itself was $26,000. We were able to offset some of this cost with some changes to the seat walls, and until the total of the change order is $19,970.79. And John from Confluence is also online, and he and I will be available for questions.
Thank you very much. Chair will open up a motion, entertain a motion to approve the change order. Made by Councilman Vilhauer, seconded by Councilman Beeler. Open it up for questions or comments. Council? Councilman Vilhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Something that caught my eye that I like what I'm seeing here is that there was a water main that is being abandoned, and as a result, we will not have a water main under the park. I mean, somebody thought through that, and I'm glad that change was made, because I hate to see us have to rip something up if we got a leak with a water main under the park. And so, good job, whoever caught that.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the change order. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item F is an approval of change order number 5 with Great Construction Company for the airport terminal project for a time extension of 60.5 days and an increase of $100,655. We'll ask our city engineer, Justin Peterson, to tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. These are a series of several smaller changes that have occurred as the airport terminal project is coming to a close here. Of the $101,000 roughly change order, the city is responsible for about $33,000 of it. And this change order also moves a substantial completion date to June 15th, which accounts for the extra days from the RFPs and then some delays related to the roofing. And Jason Kahn and I are available for questions.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the change order made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Schutte. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the change order. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item G is council approval of a schedule for a project completion for a building permit extension for the Olive House project located at 223 14th Avenue Northwest. Our Brandy Hanton will tell us more. Community Development Manager. Our Community Development Manager, Brandy Hanton, will tell us more.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mayor. So the community development staff has been working with the owners of the Olive House along with with their contractors. So the owners are Bob and Catherine Yurdigan, and then this is Jay Graybo, the contractor for the project. So it was brought to our attention that the building permit had lapsed, and with it lapsed in January of this year. And so with this being the fourth extension, there in ordinances states to bring a schedule to council for approval that states how the project will be completed. And so that is what we are presenting here today. And I can pull that up maybe. So this is what has been presented, where you can see the layout. They plan to do some grounds work throughout this year, and then move on back to the main house, and then the carriage house into next year. And it is not typical that a building permit would come to council for approval, but with this being the fourth extension request, and with it being the historical renovation project, I think that, and even with the just overall public knowledge of what is going on with the project, to allow the opportunity for the contractor to answer any questions that the council has or that they would like to present.
Thank you very much. Mr. Graybo, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I apologize that the permit lapsed. That was my fault. I just didn't realize when the deadline was.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm not used to sitting down. Sorry. I apologize that the permit lapsed. I didn't realize that had happened until they pointed it out to me. We are basically done with the outside of the grounds of the project. And I know 4 years seems like a really long time. I did bring a couple samples you guys can hand along. I'd love you all to come up to the house and see it. I really would. The stuff that's in that house is in no other house in Watertown, South Dakota. The house was built in 1887. It was built by the president of the First National Bank. Every room has a different species of wood. One is cherry, one is maple, one is mahogany, one's black ash. Well, where do you find black ash? Especially during COVID, you can't even find a 2x4. So all of those delays have added up. The inside of the house is essentially done, other than a few corbels. And then Bob and Catherine are adamant that everything goes back exactly as it was the day it was built. For example, the picture rail, the cold molding inside the building were gutted in the 1940s for some reason. And so through pictures, through lines on wallpaper that are left, we have rebuilt and re-imitated every single piece of trim in that house and re-put it in there. And that's all done. All the floor is done. Some of the flooring is Honduras mahogany. Where do you get that? From Honduras. And so all those things are put back in place, and I would love to see you come up and see the house. The inside is beautiful. And now our focus is to finish the grounds by the end of September, and then we'll finish all the little pieces on the outside of the building that are rotten. And it's scheduled to be painted first part of next year. And then it'll be done.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the schedule made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Villauer. Open it up for questions. Councilman Tupper?
More probably comments and questions. You probably feel like you got kind of beat up after the last council meeting, I'm sure, so.
Maybe more by the press than the council.
Well, yeah, but I want you to understand, we get calls every day, or maybe not every day, but we get calls of people who are saying, when's this gonna, it's been going on for years and
it's a very valid question.
And I'm glad to see you here tonight to answer some of our questions. So, especially now that you say you're gonna do a lot of the landscaping this year, I think that's gonna make a huge difference in the appearance from the outside, because that's what everybody's gonna drive by and see. I would love to get a hold of you someday and come and see the inside of it.
Anytime you come.
But I better take my wife with her, or else she'll be mad at me. So, but
the piles are all gone. It's just a little bit of landscaping left.
Yeah,
a lot of the dirt work was the result of 10th Street project. A lot of the black dirt out of 10th Street came over there and was reutilized.
Well, good. Yeah, and kudos to you for taking on such a large project. I mean, that's got to be huge, and to bring it back to its original state. But don't take it personal. I was one of the ones that probably attacked you a little bit, but when we don't have an answer to people that drive by it every day and ask the same question, pretty soon we got to ask the question. So don't, like I say, don't take it personal, and kudos to you for working on that and getting the outside done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schutte.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe Ms. Hanton can answer this question. Just a question on the ordinance. Did you mention that there is like you can extend it for, did you say 4 years? Did I hear that correctly? Or I just want to know what that ordinance roughly states, I guess.
Yeah, and I actually have it referenced on the staff report, but basically it mentions that the building official can extend a permit in increments of up to 1 additional year. And so kind of where we are landing on is potentially, maybe after 3 extensions, because we do allow for commercial projects that you could give a permit for up to 3 years, depending on the complexity and size and magnitude of the project. But typically, residential projects, we see those completed within 1 year, and then would do a potential permit extension. And obviously with COVID and the materials being hard to get and whatnot, we had seen a lot more residential projects need extensions for those reasons. But we wanted to try to keep some consistency too, of understanding that this is a very large and intricate project, but having a cutoff of the 3-year extension, so that we're not seeing this where it's not outstanding and people aren't sure of where it's at. So, and then so this is the ordinance here that comes from, and then this is the language of why the schedule is before council for approval.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Vilhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe a follow-up question that Councilman Schutte just asked. So are we, what we're doing is we're approving the permit with a period that encompasses then the schedule, or the planned schedule, which is, I think the latest entry is July of 2023. So that's essentially what we're approving the extension for?
So if you would approve the schedule, then we would be able to do another 1-year extension. Okay. So, we would be able to get that issued this week, then as long as council approved the schedule.
Okay.
So then it would just be the year after that date it's issued.
Okay.
Any follow-up, Councilman?
Well, I do, but it's a little bit different topic than this. So if somebody else wants to ask a question on this.
Councilman Tupper.
So, Ms. Hanton, if it wasn't completed, which we all know with all the shortages of stuff and busy contractors, so his schedule is until July next year. At that time, let's say there will, some of it wasn't done until then. Does he come in and before the council again and reapply? Is that the way it's kind of?
I would say that would be appropriate.
Yep.
Hoping that I think the biggest thing in sense of urgency would be the exterior. Yep. Items, and so if they need to extend it for their interior remodel portions, that isn't going to be as impactful. So I think it's good that they are prioritizing the exterior items first.
That's what brings up the questions, when people drive by and it doesn't. Evidently, you've been working pretty hard on the inside for the past 3 years, but
when you work with architects, you work with the foofy stuff.
Yep, and that's the stuff that people driving by don't see. So, but thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Danforth?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, the meeting that we had here a few weeks ago, and I had brought that up, as Councilman Tupper had referenced, that really comes as public questions that come our way. And it seems like when the snow clears and everybody can see what's going on, then the questions arise again, and then when snow comes, they forget about it. But I haven't had one person complain about or have concerns with the project itself. I think everybody is happy to see something like that, and when the end product comes, it'll be pretty amazing. But it's always just a matter of what's going on, and this should go on forever. That's really the gist of it. Nothing more, nothing less. But one of the things that I, as a council person, have a few concerns with, and that is the fairness of our ordinance. Because we don't differentiate between a historical renovation and a new build of a house. You get a building permit to do your work. And so I have talked to Heath about that. And there are some things that he may take a look at doing on our application process that would differentiate a historical renovation versus a build. Because if we have somebody that's building a house, brand new house, as it was stated, they typically, we expect that to get done in a year's time. Well, if that goes on 2, 3, 4 years, we got a problem somewhere. And we got to be fair. We have to be fair to all parties. So for us to just keep going, giving out extensions on a project like this, because there is no distinction between your project and any other renovation, you know, we do need to ask questions, and I think that's the basis of it. And hopefully, Heath and I will be looking at something that enables our staff to, you know, for things to pass the smell test, right? And that is, here's why we're doing it, and that shows up in the initial application process. So it's historical renovation. So anyway, I wanted to make that comment that I haven't talked to anybody that has concerns with the project itself. It's just when the snow goes away, people ask questions as to what's going on. So.
And you're all invited to come up and see it.
Thank you. Councilman Vilhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a somewhat related topic. I'm not sure if it came up in our conversation here a couple weeks ago, or if I picked up on it somewhere else. I guess I'll probably address it to you, Brandy. Are there going to be issues with the pillars out there on the corners, the Clearview triangle requirement? You know what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Can you address that?
Yeah, and that's actually kind of how this all came about when at the placement of those pillars, because it was encroaching on 14th and 2nd, and then 14th and 4th, I believe it is. So where they were placed were encroaching within that 25-foot Clearview triangle, which is measured back from the property line at intersections. So we have worked with the owner and contractor on relocating those, and they have submitted another site plan. So they will actually be moving them. And so we have a separate fence permit that will be able to get issued as well. And then they'll be able to obtain or reserve that Clearview triangle area.
Just as a comment, it was on original permit to be in the corner. That's why they were put there. Nobody caught it. But since I left a building permit lapse, it allowed the city to go back and say, hey, we don't want those there no more. But no problem, we're going to move them back to 25 feet. They're already staked out there.
This site plan did show, though, that the sidewalk would be moved off the boulevard, too, which would have given more space. So there's a little room discrepancy there. But
Thank
we're
you.
working through it.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the schedule. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our last item on the agenda is item H, an authorization for the police department to receive $29,000 to transition a current marked vehicle into a travel car, and the newly purchased vehicle will be added as a marked vehicle for patrol. For more information, we will ask Captain Kirk Ellis from the Watertown Police Department for information.
Thank you, Mayor. We come before you tonight to ask for permission due to we had a travel car that was headed to Deadwood, South Dakota. It ran into a hailstorm and was totaled out as a result of it. The vehicle they were in was a 2012 Chevrolet Impala that we were going to next year look at excuse me, surplusing and taking the vehicle that we have in front of you now out of the fleet and making it a travel car, and then putting the Impala on sale. The insurance company has deemed it a total loss, and the numbers are there in front of you as far as what it's worth. And then we were able to find another vehicle. Watertown Ford locally was not able to find a vehicle through any of their distributors. They're no longer taking orders this year. Ford isn't for vehicles. So we had to find a vehicle that was already in the line to be built and sold to a dealership outside of Watertown. So we found one in Waukee, Iowa. at a Ford dealership that meets our specifications and is actually at a price that is less than what we paid earlier in the year when we had a vehicle that was wrecked as well. So it's actually a savings that we found it at this year's pricing. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to authorize for authorization. Need a motion? Made by Councilman Paulson, seconded by Councilman, was it Beeler? Beeler. Any questions or comments, council? Finance Officer Bob Zine.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing that I'll add to this, because they will need a budget supplement, my suggestion is that it comes from our contingency account, which is the $300,000 we established for those unplanned expenses, so that the police department doesn't have to fit this into their budget.
Councilman Villar.
Thank you, Mayor. Krishna, we have not used any of that contingency account yet, have we,
I
this year?
think the only thing is about $7,500 for an engine that was blown in one of the patrol vehicles,
Okay.
but that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Danforth.
The motion says that they're looking for the police department to receive $29,000 to translate. Receive from who? Where does that come from?
That's the piece that I was just talking about. So what I'll do is I'll do the contingency transfer at the following meeting, but this would allow the police department to get the purchase going, essentially.
So that's one and the same.
Yep. So you'll see that here in the next couple of meetings.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the authorization, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Is there any old business? Any new business? Councilman Beeler?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple comments. I think I've mentioned this at some of our other meetings regarding game fishing parks, a co-op look at the potential for a shotgun range at our rifle range. I think I brought that up before. And we are looking into that, further into that. There are some issues apparently with wastewater that we've got to look into, and location if we're going to do I kind of got off topic here. The other thing would be the fish cleaning station that the game fishing parks people have. And so we're looking at those two items, the gun range and that. I'd like to see us move forward, push forward, get more information on what it takes, what we need to do to allow us to use that fish cleaning station in the community somewhere, or in what form of that there is. But the Game Fish and Parks has already purchased the table, I guess, the grinding equipment and that sort of thing. And they have a plan. I think it's for I don't know if I should be throwing out dollar amounts at this point, but for a facility with bathrooms, the whole thing in it for that. So hopefully we can keep that here in Watertown somehow, and hopefully we can, by fall, maybe have an opportunity for folks to be able to go out and shoot shotguns at our rifle range probably on the west end. But those are things I'd like to pursue, I'd like to see us move forward with. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. In response to that, just the shotgun range, while I was in the engineering department and I led that the design and build of that through the state, and there was a shotgun range that was supposed to be built there, but as we were going through the design, there was a lot of complications, especially the proximity to the river, because they were calling for I want to say 7-shot and lower, but usually you can only get that in lead, and being so close to the river, there was some complications there, so they had to nix it. Just letting you know that it was anticipated to be on the west side of there, but they had to get rid of it because there was just a few different complications there.
Mayor, if I may.
Councilman Beeler.
Question for my fellow Councilman Paulson. What is the proximity of that river from where that might take place? If it took place somewhere near that road? The river, I should say.
That river comes pretty close, actually, especially on the west end. It kind of starts to come up. I don't know the exact distance, but they did a whole study on a shotgun range, and anything over a 7-shot extended far beyond even the highway, going south there. So I think that
Which highway are you referring to?
81.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that'd be one hell of a shotgun.
I didn't do this. I didn't do the analysis. I'm just telling you that
Okay.
there was an analysis done, and I'm sure actually it's
Well,
probably in our engineering files somewhere.
But I would like to look further into that to see if that's feasible. And when you say they, who are you referring to as far as the river?
Game fishing parks.
Okay, because game fishing parks, they're advocates for this facility. So
I'm just letting you know.
Okay, no, I appreciate the info. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Danforth.
I just want to make a comment. Too often we take a lot of our services for granted here. But over the last year or so, I've had some projects I'm working on that require me to go out and use our local dump ground a lot. And I want to commend those people. I've had nothing but a good experience with the people working out there in that environment and helpful. And I want to thank them because it really is. They do a good job, and it's a great place to be able to go and to take stuff that we don't have any other place to take. So I want to commend them. It doesn't happen near enough. So
Thank you. Any further new business? Any liaison member reports? Councilman Shetty.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to inform the community that we've, at the library, they've got a unique opportunity to have an exhibit that started actually today, July 18th, and it's going to be going all the way through August 28th, and it's called the Americans and the Holocaust Traveling Exhibition. It was supposed to be here, I believe, in 2020, but there were some challenges that year. And so now it is here, and it started today, and there's actually going to be 5 different events, July 19th, July 26th, August 2nd, August 10th, August 11th. Those are all dates. They're going to have some different speakers sharing. So those are some just certain moments there throughout the exhibit. But you can go there through the library hours and look at the exhibit. I'm just going to quick explain what it is exactly. And it says here, the Americans and Holocaust Traveling Exhibition addresses important themes in American history, including Americans' responses to refugees, war, and genocide in the 1930s and 40s. This exhibition will challenge the commonly held assumptions that Americans knew little and did nothing about the Nazi persecution and murder of Jews as the Holocaust unfolded. Drawing on a remarkable collection of primary sources from the 1930s and 40s, the exhibition focuses on the stories of individuals and groups of Americans who took action in response to Nazism. It will challenge visitors to consider the responsibilities and obstacles faced by individuals, from President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to ordinary Americans, who made difficult choices, sought to effect change, and in a few cases took significant risks to help victims of Nazism. So, I would encourage all to visit the library and this unique opportunity. It only went, I believe, to 50 different libraries around the country, and I think we're the only one in South Dakota. So another big kudos to our library system in town. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilman Vilhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Exciting news happening at the airport. We now have our first flight scheduled out of our terminal, August 10th, if I got my dates right. What? The 11th? I was close. So it's the 11th? Okay, the airport board meeting was the 10th, but so it probably changed. Okay, anyway, and then on August 26th, if I got that date right, we have a ribbon cutting and a grand opening. And then the next day, August 27th, which I believe is a Saturday, there's a community event called Kites, Flights, and Bites that engage the public in a number of different activities out there. So exciting things happening out at our airport.
Thank you much. Are there any other liaison member reports or liaison reports? Hearing none, are there any announcements? City Manager Mack.
I do have a few. Thank you, Mayor. First, just a reminder that we'll be meeting out at the Event Center tomorrow starting at 9 o'clock for our strategic planning process. Secondly, I've gotten some questions, as I think some of you have as well, about the dead fish at Lake Compasco. Very exciting things that we get to talk about at City Hall on Monday mornings. From what we know, it's just a natural occurrence. The hot temperatures have not been helpful, and something about oxygen in the water, all of those things. Just as a piece of information for the public, it is the property owner's responsibility to clean those up if they if they choose to do so. City Park and Jackson Park, the city will take care of if we deem necessary, if there are enough fish that have met their demise that we need to clean up. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a big thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. They had a very successful Cooking on Compasco this weekend. It was our first time to get to enjoy that as a family. Some really tasty chislic and pork, and just a great event for our community. I think all 3 days were full. We were out there 2 of the nights, and great crowds, great music, great food, and we are grateful to them for all of the work that they do on behalf of our community.
Thank you for mentioning that fish kill. There were some questions. There's nothing nefarious going on. There was nothing dumped. There was no chemical, nothing like that. It was just a natural occurrence. Finance Officer Bob Zine.
Thank you, Mayor. I had sent out an email earlier, but I wanted to make it known in a public meeting that I would like to announce the promotion of Kim Strickert as our Assistant Finance Officer. So we are excited for Kim to take this new role, and excited for all the things in finance. So congratulations to Kim.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kristen. City Engineer Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to announce FEMA's been working the last few years updating the FEMA maps, and there's an open house tomorrow at the zoo from 5:30 to 7. It's open to the public, particularly those that may be affected by the map changes. Encouraged to attend.
Thank you. Any further announcements? There is no reason to go into executive session, therefore the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Councilman Beeler, seconded by Councilman Schutte. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Good night, and God bless you, Watertown.